Here we are for new month, new writer, new readings. How about that? The daily guides this month, the cover for the daily guides within the magazine itself says the infinite wonders of the universe, and there's a picture of like a desert landscape, but undulating, and then it's either the moon or the sun in the background there. And underneath the quote is from Helen Keller, and it says, the infinite wonders of the universe are revealed to us in exact measure as we are capable of receiving them. Helen Keller. So what about this month's writings? Well, the author is Reverend Dr. David Ault. He's written, he writes pretty much every year. And he says, with the opportunity to write on this month's theme, Loving the Unlikable, that's the cover of the magazine itself, he says, I felt an immediate spark. Phrases like finding rest in the unrest, bearing the unbearable, forgiving the unforgivable, he says, these are what I learned as inversions. He says, they're all, hang on. He says, they also may be seen as mirrors of the spiritual beings. They also may be seen as mirrors for spiritual beings navigating a dualistic world. As Jesus taught, we are to be in the world, but not of it. In many ways, we live inside an inversion, continually invited to flip the ego's accustomed resistance into recognition and stagnation into spiritual alignment. He says, when our North Star is that nothing is unlovable, no matter what mask it wears, we step more fully into our purpose for being here. Writing these guides, he says, has been a practice in leaning toward, even when the unbearable swells larger. For all of us, he says, the task remains to remember that this too is God, the divine, the all, in expression, right? This too is good, and the blessing waits to be seen. A little bit about Reverend David Ault. For those of you who don't know anything about him, he is an ordained, like me, he's an ordained minister through Centers for Spiritual Living. And he travels the world as a facilitator, keynote speaker, and a coach. His US-based nonprofit, Kaleidoscope Child, provides sustainable education, life skills, and clean water to more than 1,000 children annually in Cambodia, India, Guatemala, and through special initiatives in Africa and the United States. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia, that is, with his partner, J. Ram Lentine. Learn more at kaleidoscopechildfoundation.org and also at davidault.com, A-U-L-T. So that's a little bit about him, but more to the point, what does he have to say this month? Well, this is what he has to say. If my mouse is not cooperating. Here we go. No. Okay. So here we go. He called this, as I wrote in the title, fully present. First quote is from someone a lot of you have heard of, Eckhart Tolle, T-O-L-L-E, very well-known modern spiritual leader. He says, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. So the eternal now, right? Because that's all there is. A minute ago is gone, and there's still a minute in the future and more. So now is all there is, right? And Ernest Holmes, what did he say? He said, to live by inspiration means to sense the divine touch in everything, to enter into the spirit of things, to enter into the joy of living. And that was from This Thing Called Life, and it's on page 34. And then Reverend David talks about someone else. He says, Buddhist teacher Paul Weinfeld shared a story about American writer William Stanford, who wrote a poem every day for more than 40 years. When asked how he managed such artistic output, Stafford replied, when I get stuck, I lower my standards. Reverend David says, his is a startling answer in a culture obsessed with perfection. Our egos resist this notion, believing only flawless results matter. And yet, in that resistance, we deny ourselves not only the joy of creating, but also the deeper invitation of life itself, to live fully, to embrace every part of who we are. He says, perfectionism is rampant. We measure ourselves against imagined ideals. But doing something fully isn't the same as doing something perfectly. Doing something fully is an act of love. It asks us to enter the moment with tenderness, even for the parts of us we usually reject. The anxious self, the uncertain self, the not enough self. Then he says, doing something fully invites presence over product. It calls us to notice the way that we make coffee, the rhythm of our commute, and the tone we use with others, as well as to inhabit those moments completely. Now you could inhabit them, but inhabit, right? It asks us to set down mental schedules, labels, and the inherited standards that may filter creativity. Build borders where boundlessness awaits and foster anxiety where joy longs to take root. It says, but when we soften, slow down, and let inspiration guide us, we begin to see the truth. In this moment, nothing is missing, nothing is unworthy, and nothing is unlovable. Loving our whole selves, the brilliant and the blemished, is how we remember life's true depth. It requires no standard but attention itself. You know, sometimes the hardest people to love are ourselves when we've done something that fell beneath our standards or for which we're truly ashamed. I think we judge ourselves more harshly than we judge other people. And that's not self-care. So he's inviting us to do two things. One is love ourselves. Whatever we've done, forgive ourselves. If we have to make amends for something, fine, that's okay. But whatever we've done, once we realize it and we decide that's not acceptable, and we turn the other corner and we just leave it behind, and we love ourselves. And also to love other people. And this is really not always easy. I don't know about you, but there's people who have been in my life and I outright didn't like them. You know, I just didn't like them. But like and love are not the same thing. They're two different things. Like and love are completely different. You don't have to like someone to love them. To love someone, you accept them as a human being, a child of God, an expression of the divine. Does not mean at all that you condone what they do if things that they are doing are just downright evil or just not acceptable. So those two things are often misguided, they're misunderstood. It's kind of like the difference between stupidity and ignorance. Ignorance is often confused with stupidity, and it's not the same thing at all. Ignorance simply means you don't know. Like one of my friends, he's always saying to Barbara, my wife, you don't know that. Well, the truth is she doesn't know it because she never learned it. But it doesn't make her stupid like he may be implying. It just means she doesn't know. So lots of things get confused. Like and love, stupidity and ignorance get confused completely. So what is my takeaway from this? It means that there's lots of people out there right now that I absolutely do not like around the world. I'm just talking about local community around the world. There's lots of people I don't like. I don't like what they're doing. I think what they're doing is wrong. It's evil. But it doesn't mean to say that I don't love them as a child of God and I don't want them to change. No, I do want them to change. I do want them to start seeing compassion and love and so on in different people. So, hey, that's my story today, and I'm sticking to it. And I like this. I live as an artist of presence, shaping each moment with my awareness. In other words, I live in the present moment, and that will be just as good an affirmation. I live as an artist of presence, shaping each moment with my awareness. Or I choose to live in the present moment. I live in the present moment. I don't live for the past. I don't live for the future. I plan in the present moment for the future, but I don't live there. I live here now. This is where I'm living. So that's my story. Tomorrow, oh yes, we have some things going on at Creative Life Spiritual Center. On Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page, we will have our service at 11. Before that, my colleague, Reverend Lisa, with whom I was tonight with a bunch of other ministers and practitioners for a meeting, which is why I'm late. She'll be on at 9:15 tomorrow morning. And then as a special treat, Reverend Jesse will be giving the talk. However, we will have a couple of guests who will actually be doing other parts of the service that are normally done by, well, Danielle, Reverend Lisa, and myself. So we have some different people out there doing slightly different, doing similar things, but in a different way. So please tune in there. Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. And if you miss it, it's recorded and it will be on YouTube sometime later tomorrow or on Monday. So please tune in then. Please tune in for me tomorrow at 5 o'clock-ish and have a great rest of the evening. And we did get some rain. You know, in my thought for the day, I said, pray we get some rain. Well, we got some rain and I am grateful. I am truly grateful. So my prayer today is simply to say, I'm grateful for the good in my life, and I'm grateful for the good in each of your lives. And I release this word into divine law, calling it done with true gratitude, and so it is.